What's up, guys? Welcome back to Project Time Garage. Today is mower maintenance day. This is a John Deere F911 front deck mower. It's got a Kawasaki FD620D engine on it, and has a little bit of a water leak. It's leaking around the water pump, I think. I put a water pump on it a long time ago. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a my fault reason it's leaking. In fact, I had to put a whole cam and timing gear assembly in it back probably about 10 or 12 years ago. This is a spare mower for me, or we'll call it a rough cut mower for me. I use this thing to mow, under fence rows. It does a really good job of getting in there underneath trees and stuff like that, where the zero turn kind of, you're sitting on the deck. This thing's out there in front, so you can kind of jam it up under stuff, and you can also misuse it by lifting the deck up and just sitting it on whatever you want to destroy. No, I've never done that before. So we're gonna fix this water pump leak. We're going to change the oil filter, hydraulic oil, hydraulic filter, and put some plugs in it. So anyway, let's get to work. So this is what we're working with. Start off a little bit of PB Blaster. Clearly I need some more PB Blaster. Okay. Exhaust off. Oh gosh, that was exhausting. Don't laugh. All right, now we're down to where we can see what's actually going on. Drain some water, because it's not coolant, it's actually water, because it keeps leaking. Full disclosure, the reason I wanted to go ahead and do this was because I wanted to get it done before wintertime, because knowing me, at some point I'll forget to drain the coolant, and then we'll have a mess. I don't know how much coolant this thing actually holds. It couldn't be more than 300 or 400 gallons, could it? So I'll just use a big drain pan. Oh, you know what? That actually has some coolant in it. I'm good. Also pretty lucky. That'll have to make you go pee. All right, I'll come back when the thing's drained out. Okay, water's drained. Let's get this bottom hose out here, off of here, and let's find out how much water didn't drain. About that much. So, in an effort to preserve, oh look, there comes some more water out the off the drain, so that's all right. I'm gonna stick this thing back here because I really don't care about that. I think all these are probably 10 millimeter, 2 millimetric. Get our little bypass hose loose. And let's get the actual water pump off there. Oh, don't break. Oh, don't break. I'm going to be easy and gentle with it. There it comes. Ooh, these things feel scary. Like they would really love to break. Tell you what I'm going to do now that as I break them loose, I'm going to go tighten them back up. That'll take a little bit of strain off the next bolt that I come to. Yeah, they feel they feel pretty bad. And I think there's a 12 right there. There is a 12. That one felt much better. All right. Buzz all these off of here, and we'll have a water pump in our hands. Should be a little prop point right there, and there is a little more water that we didn't get to. So where were you leaking? That's the housing. Doesn't look bad at all. Okay. I think I'm going to take it. I think I'm going to take the actual pump itself the rest of the way off. Yeah, I'm going to end up losing those if I don't do something else. Yeah, let's just finish taking this water pump off of here, because we're only one bolt away. And I'll just reseal both sides of it. It's not leaking out the weep hole, so I'm not worried about that. Let's see, should be a little spot right here to get under it. Tell you what, the stuff that I used instead of Permatex, was that, or was opposed to regular Permatex, was that right stuff from Permatex? Man, that stuff is serious. It is sticky. There it goes. Water pump and a water pump drive. I think this is where it was leaking, right here. I think this right here was dripping down, because you can see where it's been. Just going to use a brass brush here. Just kind of clean it up. You know what? There's a hole in this thing right here. and it's been leaking all through here, but I'm trying to tell myself that it's not leaking from there. I don't know if I'm convincing myself or not. I think we should pull it a little further apart and just see what we're dealing with, because I may end up having to get a replacement for this. I don't know. I'm just curious, because if this is a weep hole, then we need a if that is a weep hole, then we need a new water pump. So I'm just going to go right in that hole and just kind of run all the way up to, well, I mean, it looks like this hole here, it looks like this hole here is machined all the way up, and maybe that's it. I don't know. Here's the housing for it. Goes together like so. Yeah, that's the weep hole for sure. I'm assuming that, well, I'm sure like every other weep hole, if water starts to get back here, then it starts to seep through. So I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to put a call in to the local dealership and see if I can get a water pump or a water pump rebuild kit for it. I'll bring you back when I find out. So I'm sitting here messing with this thing a little bit while I was on hold for John Deere Parts, who never actually picked up the phone. But I was trying to decide what seals this, what makes this seal, because obviously this is the water side and back here is the oil side, so the two shouldn't be meeting. So I'm looking at this right here, and it actually looks like kind of a, almost like an umbrella type seal for valve stem seals in a car, truck, ATV, or whatever. But on closer inspection, it's just got a metal sleeve in it right there that just comes all the way up through there. So there's no real sealing. There is a little hard plastic, I guess it's a washer on this side. But looked over here and realized that, well, this thing's got a pin in it that's sunk into here. So obviously you can push on this thing and pop it loose. And when I did, look what I found. I found an O-ring. You don't think that this O-ring is what keeps the water and oil separated, do you? I do. You don't think that I could just pull this O-ring off and replace this O-ring and have it fixed, do you? Me either, but I'm going to try it anyway. Let's try that. That's out of my way. So, yeah, it's just an O-ring. Now, the question is whether or not I have an O-ring this small or not. But I'll sure get it off of here and see. Well, now it's broken. Well, that's definitely what the problem was. It's not very pliable anymore. Try to clean this up a little bit. Just chuck it up the drill. That's a brass brush. Yeah, that cleaned it up nicely. All right. Chances of having an O-ring that fits this, I'm going to say 0.7% maybe. Except that one looks pretty close. Let's just stick it on here and see what it looks like. Yeah. Oh. You know, I would almost, I think I would actually go with that. Yeah, I honestly think that's going to work. That O-ring is just proud. Yeah, I think we have what we need. What are we going to do here? I have just a touch of grease. I'm just going to lay on there. I'll take the little pin, put it back on there, and I really think that may have just fixed it. If it did, yay. All right, so this goes back in here. One thing's for sure, at least I didn't spend a week digging down to it. At least it was easy to get to, and it's easy to get back to. John Deere, I didn't get anybody at the dealership. I sat on hold for quite some time. And so I figure what I'll do is I'll put this back together. I'll clean the bottom of this. I'll clean the bottom of this weep hole. Where is this weep hole? I'll clean the bottom of this weep hole really well so that I can see if it's leaking again. And we'll stick it right back together and we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of Permatex on here. We'll let it be setting up a little bit while I clean the block off over there, or clean the timing cover off of its goop. So I just want to recap a little bit here really quick, because I have a feeling probably some other people have ran into this, and I think these pumps are about $70 or $75 from John Deere, or at least that's what I've seen them online for. Now, they may want more than that at the dealership. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's about a $70 pump, and the fix for this thing, I think, was really, really simple. So let me go through it one more time, just in case anybody else out there has this problem. I pulled this gear off. You pull out the pin, this pin, slip this little spring washer off, push the whole mess out, pull the impeller out on your hand, and you can actually grab this thing and squeeze and pop this out. And there's an O-ring right here on the end of this shaft. And that O-ring seals the water side of the system from the oil side of the system. So basically meaning this is what keeps water and oil from mixing. So if you have, and come to think of it, this is another good point. I noticed a minute ago when I was draining out my coolant that it looked kind of milky. The coolant looked milky, not the oil. The oil looks fine. You would figure it'd be the other way around, that if oil and water were mixed in, the oil would get a milky haze. But the oil is beautiful in the thing. It's clear and nice, and I keep it changed really, really regularly. Once a year I change it, and I probably don't put 30 hours a year on this thing. So I maintain it pretty well. But anyway, my coolant was kind of had a like of a milky consistency. It was still green, but it was kind of milky. But anyway, replacing this right here just might solve your problem. And boy, the cost on that fix is super low. Just make sure that when you put this O-ring on here, just dab some oil on it and put some oil around this whole shaft, or some grease. I mean, I meant to say put some grease right here on this thing to help kind of let it slide down. It's a pretty tight fit down in there. And then go ahead and just put some grease all over the rest of this shaft too. It couldn't be a bad thing, because this shaft here actually runs inside a little bit of a metal sleeve down in there. So there's that. We'll stick it back together. And realistically, now that I know this, I could be back to this spot from zero in probably 10 minutes or less. So it's really, really easy to do. Even I can do it. You have to really press in to get that started back. And then this is the gear. You notice this gear is oily. So this gear actually sits inside the oil side of the engine. So this would be the engine side. So there's oil here. This would be the crankcase and timing. I think this actually runs off the timing gear. And then this side is where your water is. So I'm pretty sure that O-ring was the thing. So let's stick this back on here and see what we've got. I'm going to start off by putting a little bit of Permatex. I'm going to use some ultra gray Permatex today. And being this is a water system, I don't want to go too crazy with it. I just want to put a nice thin bead around this thing. I want to go around all the parts of it. And I'll take this at some point and I'll go around all the bolt holes too. But very thin. I don't want it to squish down and end up getting in the water system and making a mess. And here I thought it was something I did that messed this thing up. I thought I was bad with my Permatex or something, but evidently I was not. Evidently it was an O-ring issue. Pull that around there and wipe that off. All right, so there's that. At the risk of overdoing it, I'm going to go ahead and take the pump housing, the outer housing, and just kind of do the same thing with it. And again, I'll tell you, the amount I'm putting on here is just super, super thin. It's barely even covering all the metal surface, but it is. Go ahead and do this part back here, same way. Okay, not too much, not too little, just right. All right, let me go over there and clean the block off. The timing chain, timing cover side off. I'll bring you back. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Just a touch Permatex, ultra gray, not a lot. Just gonna go over and smooth the whole thing out. Pick up any of this excess, because I did use a little too much there, so I'm going to get some of that excess picked up with my finger because I don't want it floating around inside my cooling system. All right, let's start with this side. that. And then this. I get too crazy with this bit. There's someone else back after we can cut down. Alright, so I'm going to start with kind of the center bolts and just kind of work my way around them. Center out, kind of like you're tightening a wheel on your car. And the amount of torque I'm putting on these, it's whatever the factory called for. You believe that? Alrighty. Got just a little bit of excess Permatex there. That's the thing about putting gasket maker on. You think you're just putting a little bitty bit, but you end up putting a whole bunch. Well, I guess there's nothing really to do at this point except start to go back together with it and see either how much we have fixed it or how badly we've destroyed our mower. I, for one, think it's going to work. Let's get some coolant in the thing. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, dude, you're about to put actual antifreeze into a mower when you haven't even closed the drain valve yet. What are you thinking? No, I just closed it. But thanks for reminding me. So what you're really thinking is, dude, why are you putting coolant in the system when you don't even know if that fixed the problem or not? My response to you is, I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure this did the trick. Whoa there. I'm pretty sure that fixed it. I'm going to let that drain down some. Put some water in this thing. All right, in with some mostly water. And I don't really care if this thing has got more antifreeze than water. It's not exactly 50-50. I think we should start it for a second. And then see if it'll pull some more of that water down there. More importantly, see how badly it leaks and pours water everywhere. Hopefully that won't happen. Get some of these tools out of the way so they don't go jingling to the floor. Okay. A little bit of throttle. Choke or no choke, I don't know, let's see. There, that's much better. I don't see any leaks. Of course, it's probably a little bit too early to tell. Once that thing has some time to get set in, we'll know more. Top this thing off one more time. Well, I feel better about that. All right, phase two will be, let's go ahead and do an oil change on it while the engine's just a little bit warm. That won't take but a second. Go ahead and put some spark plugs in her, and then we'll set about changing that hydro. Let's drain the hydraulic oil out of this thing. Takes 4.4 quarts, so just over a gallon. I have a 1 gallon drain bucket that actually fits under the machine, so this ought to be interesting. I'm sure I'm gonna bust knuckles right here too, I think. This is the part where I strip it right off, isn't it? Betcha it is. Oh, there it goes. It broke loose. All right. That thing was in there. See how much of this stuff we can spill on the ground. Well, at least the oil is nice and clean looking. Could be a whole lot worse than that. Can you guys see what's going on here? Let's see. There we go. Now you can see. Well, this is where we stick the plug back in it and empty our drain pan. It's only supposed to have 4.4 quarts. Oh look, it was almost done. If I just waited, huh? Alright, while that's dribbling, how much of a mess you think it'll make for us to take this filter off up here? That one. Let's give that a whirl. Couldn't make too much of a mess, could it? Let's see if this thing's as tight as everything else. I've never serviced the hydros on this thing, so I don't know what exactly to expect here. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I've definitely dealt with worse. Brand new filter. Just get a little bit of oil and just kind of get that seal all lubed up so it doesn't stick the next time we service the hydros on this in another 400 years. Alright, there's that. Let me stick this drain plug back on here. Put you back down where you can see what's going on. Drain plug. I'm not going to go too crazy on that drain plug because a lot of times you tighten those too much, there's a taper to them, and you will split the case of whatever you're tightening the plug into. And I don't want that, for sure. Okay, it's enough of being on the ground. Let's go up top and fill this thing. All right, so the good folks at John Deere, in their service procedures, they say to fill this thing with approximately 4.6 quarts of hydraulic oil that conforms to the J20C standard. I just happen to have some of that right here. See how much of a mess we can make. Seat's right in the way. All right, there's 1 gallon in. So in order to check your fluid level, John Deere, as opposed to putting a dipstick on the thing, they give you a sight glass right there. And I believe that sight glass is totally full. But that's to be expected because I haven't started the mower yet. So we're going to start the mower. We're going to run the pedals back and forth a little bit. Yeah, I don't think I see it in there anymore. So we're going to put 1 more quart in it. That reservoir looks to hold about 1 quart of oil. Let's go check our sight glass again. Oh, yep, look at that. It's probably washing everything out, but it is right in the middle. I think the thing to do is take the thing on a ride and just up and down the driveway a little bit and see what we end up having for a level when we get back. We're going to go take a ride. Well, that's it. I got dirty, but maintenance is done on this thing. Feel much better about getting out there and using it. So anyway, that's going to wrap this up. Appreciate you guys watching. Hey, listen, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. Love to have you. Also, feel free to throw some comments down there. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time.